Red-Headed Woman, 1932. Let's start with a film that truly defined the idea of trouble with a capital T. Red-Headed Woman didn't merely stir controversy, it sent critics and censors rushing for their rulebooks. Starring Jean Harlow as Lil Andrews, a secretary with grand ambitions and a remarkable talent for bending the world to her will, the film introduces a heroine who is completely unapologetic about wanting more from life. Lil is determined to rise above her position, using charm and a disarming smile to get ahead. What still makes the movie stand out today is how openly she breaks every so-called rule. She refuses to play nice, refuses to wait for opportunity, and boldly sets her sights on her wealthy, married boss. The film never hides her determination to get what she wants, regardless of who stands in her way. At a time when movies were expected to promote traditional values, Lil cheerfully ignored them. The dialogue is fast, sharp, and filled with lines that make you wonder how they slipped past the censors. Harlow delivers every zinger with such confidence that it's hard not to root for her, even while she creates chaos. Critics called the film immoral, but audiences were fascinated, and the louder the moral guardians protested, the more people rushed to see it. Today, Red-Headed Woman remains a symbol of pre-code Hollywood's fearless spirit, a reminder that, before strict rules took over, a determined woman could steal every scene, every heart, and perhaps even a mansion or two. Babyface, 1933. If you've ever heard the phrase climbing the ladder, you may not realize that Barbara Stanwyck practically built that ladder herself in Babyface. The film is famous for pushing boundaries. Stanwyck plays Lily Powers, a young woman raised in harsh circumstances who is determined never to be powerless again. Her greatest weapons are her intelligence and her unbreakable resolve. Inspired by the advice of a philosophical friend, Lily heads to New York City, where she moves through the business world from job to job, always upward and always on her own terms. What shocked audiences then, and still surprises viewers now, is how openly the film shows her using charm, opportunity, and clever strategy to secure her future. The story does not condemn Lily. Instead, it almost challenges the audience to admire her. Scene after scene highlights her confidence and resourcefulness as she overcomes obstacles that would defeat a weaker character. She is not simply a survivor, she is a force of nature, and the film allows her to be both flawed and fascinating. When Babyface premiered, it caused an uproar. Critics labeled it indecent, audiences filled theaters, and censors demanded cuts, but the legend had already been created. It became a story of ambition, strength, and the lengths people will go to in pursuit of a better life. Nearly a century later, the film still feels strikingly modern. Trouble in Paradise, 1932. For anyone who believes classic films are predictable, this movie is the perfect rebuttal. Directed by Ernst Lubitsch, Trouble in Paradise is a polished romantic caper filled with charm and playful mischief. The story follows two high-class thieves, Gaston and Lily, who team up to carry out an elaborate scheme involving a wealthy perfume heiress. What follows is a lively swirl of deception, attraction, and clever double-crosses. The dialogue sparkles with suggestion, often conveying more through a raised eyebrow or a sly smile than through spoken words. The film was daring because it refuses to judge its characters, instead celebrating their sophistication and cleverness. The chemistry between the leads is unmistakable, the banter is quick, and every scene is layered with double meaning. Gaston and Lily operate as equals, each attempting to outsmart the other and the world around them. Although praised for elegance, the film was criticized for offering no clear moral lesson. The notion that two thieves could be charming, successful, and unpunished was nearly unthinkable in later, more restrictive Hollywood. That is precisely why the film remains so delightful, a grown-up comedy filled with wit, subtlety, and the joy of intelligent people doing intelligent, mischievous things. She Done Him Wrong, 1933. When it comes to breaking convention, nobody did it quite like Mae West. In this film, she plays Lady Lou, a nightclub singer who knows exactly what she wants and how to get it. Lady Lou is a master of the sharp comeback, the sly glance, and the slow, confident entrance. She never chases trouble, it finds her. Surrounded by hopeful admirers and shady criminals, she handles every challenge with humor and a perfectly timed quip. What truly set the movie apart was not only its daring dialogue, but the way Lady Lou completely owned her choices. She was strong, funny, and firmly in control of her destiny. At a time when women on screen were expected to follow the rules, she rewrote them. The film attracted heavy criticism for being too bold and too much fun, but West famously turned censorship into profit. Audiences adored her, and the louder the complaints grew, the longer the lines became. Packed with unforgettable one-liners and delivered with her unmistakable wink, the film remains a lesson in how to dominate the screen and never give it back. Design for Living, 1933. Directed once again by Lubitsch, Design for Living completely reimagines the rules of romance. The story centers on three friends, Gilda, Tom, and George, who choose not to compete for love, but instead decide to live together and see what happens. The film openly explores the complications, laughter, and jealousy that arise from such an arrangement, without passing judgment. What made the film both sensational and scandalous was its honest portrayal of unconventional relationships. The script, adapted by Noel Coward, sparkles with clever dialogue and sharp wit. Audiences in 1933 were stunned by the idea that three people could live together without a neat moral conclusion being imposed. At the time, the film felt completely unlike anything else in theaters. Today, it stands as a classic example of pre-code Hollywood's willingness to explore new ideas about love, friendship, and personal freedom. The Divorcee, 1930. When it comes to defying expectations, this film is a true landmark. Norma Shearer stars as Jerry, a sophisticated woman whose comfortable life is shaken when she discovers her husband's infidelity. Instead of accepting the era's double standards, Jerry chooses to live by her own rules. Her journey is one of self-discovery and, above all, self-respect. Rather than hiding or forgiving and forgetting, she steps into the world determined to experience life as fully as any man. The film focuses not only on the end of a marriage, but on what comes afterward, challenging assumptions about blame, forgiveness, and independence. What made the story groundbreaking was how sympathetically it treated Jerry's choices. The dialogue is lively and sharp, and Shearer's performance blends vulnerability with quiet strength. Audiences filled theaters, critics argued over its honesty, and Shearer ultimately received an Academy Award. The film remains a powerful reminder of how pre-code Hollywood dared to ask difficult questions about relationships and personal freedom. Dual Robbery, 1932. Sometimes the most memorable comedies combine romance, suspense, and playful daring. This sparkling caper stars Kay Francis as Baroness Terry von Hohenfels, a woman whose luxurious life gains unexpected excitement when a charming thief robs her favorite jewelry store. What makes the film so delightful is its light-hearted tone. The Baroness is no helpless victim. She is quick-thinking, unflappable, and more than a match for the smooth criminal who captures her attention. Their flirtatious exchanges crackle with energy, and the film pushes right up against what was considered proper. One especially famous scene features a cigarette passed around during the robbery, leaving everyone giddy and dazed, a knowing wink to audiences that raised many eyebrows. The film never lectures. Instead, it invites viewers to enjoy clever characters breaking rules and enjoying every minute of it. Love Me Tonight, 1932. More than just a musical, Love Me Tonight is a joyful mix of romance, humor, and playful rebellion against social boundaries. The story follows a humble tailor played by Maurice Chevalier, who is mistaken for a nobleman and welcomed into high society. Rather than correct the misunderstanding, he embraces it and charms everyone he meets, including the princess, portrayed by Jeanette MacDonald. The film's boldness lies in its cheerful disregard for rigid class divisions. Its music, written by Rodgers and Hart, is filled with clever lyrics and playful innuendo. Songs are used not only for romance but also for jokes and sly commentary. The princess herself is intelligent, curious, and eager to experience life beyond her sheltered world. While audiences were captivated, censors complained about its flirtatious humor and light-hearted challenge to social order. Today, the film remains a vibrant celebration of love, music, and joyful mischief. Night After Night, 1932. This film marked the screen debut of Mae West, and she immediately made an unforgettable impression as Maudie Triplett, a sharp-tongued, street-smart woman who has seen everything and fears nothing. Although the story follows a nightclub owner attempting to reunite with a former love, It is West who steals every scene with her effortless confidence and rapid-fire comebacks. Her character moves through the world on her own terms and openly acknowledges that her success comes from her own intelligence and experience. One famous exchange, about a society woman admiring her diamonds, perfectly captures her fearless wit. The film was considered bold not only for its humor, but for presenting a woman completely in control of her own life. Audiences embraced West's larger-than-life presence, and the film became the foundation for her legendary career, proving that the biggest laughs often come from those who break the mold and do it with style. Girls About Town, 1931, presents a bright, fast-moving comedy about two close friends, Wanda and Marie, who earn their living as glamorous companions for wealthy men at high society parties, yet the story never treats them as helpless or dependent. Instead, it highlights their intelligence, independence, and strong bond, showing how they rely on quick thinking, humor, and loyalty to navigate wild evenings, comic mix-ups, and romantic complications, while consistently staying one step ahead of men who believe money can control their hearts. The dialogue crackles with wit, and the women are shown as modern, capable, and confidently true to themselves. At a time when Hollywood would soon avoid such honesty, the film stood out for refusing to criticize its heroines and for encouraging audiences to support them as they handle the challenges of city life, delivering a clear message that friendship, laughter, and a sharp sense of humor can carry you through almost anything. For viewers in 1931, it felt refreshing and liberating, offering a stylish vision of women who made their own decisions and enjoyed doing so. Call Her Savage, 1932, lives up to its daring title by centering on Nasa Springer, a fierce and untamed young woman whose explosive personality and reckless behavior repeatedly shock respectable society. She storms through life with unstoppable momentum, getting into fights, mocking authority, and causing trouble wherever she goes, while the film refuses to soften her rough edges. Its boldness comes from portraying a woman who openly rejects social rules, with scenes of gambling, brawling, and running with a dangerous crowd pushing boundaries for the era. Beneath the chaos, the story also explores emotional pain, family secrets, and a longing for acceptance. The narrative races forward at high speed, driven by a powerful performance that mixes bravado with moments of genuine vulnerability. Critics were unsettled by the film's intensity and by its unwillingness to punish NASA for her independence, yet audiences were drawn in by the star's commanding presence and by a story that dared to venture where safer films would not, leaving Call Her Savage remembered as a wild, fearless ride and a celebration of living life on your own terms. Cocktail Hour, 1933, follows Cynthia Warren, a successful illustrator who enjoys her work, her city lifestyle, and the occasional martini, and who has no intention of giving up her freedom for marriage simply because society expects it. Confident at both her drafting table and at fashionable late-night gatherings, she represents a woman who openly balances career ambition with personal pleasure. The film's daring spirit lies in how casually it accepts this independence, presenting Cynthia as stylish, clever, and fully in control of her future, more interested in dancing, drawing, and enjoying life than waiting for romance to define her. Light, playful exchanges and flirtatious humor fill the story as she trades jokes and knowing looks with a series of charming admirers. Rather than criticizing her choices, the film invites viewers to admire her determination and self-reliance, making Cocktail Hour a lively tribute to independence, confidence, and the joy of shaping your own life with a touch of playful mischief. Ladies They Talk About, 1933, overturns expectations by placing a sharp-minded female bank robber, Nan Taylor, at its center, following her arrest after a failed robbery and her subsequent life in prison. Instead of fading into the background, Nan quickly becomes a strong presence behind bars, winning over fellow inmates, cleverly maneuvering around guards, and learning how to survive in a harsh and complicated environment. The film stands out for its realistic and unflinching view of prison life, where friendships, rivalries, and shifting alliances define daily existence. Nan's story becomes one of both endurance and change, as she adapts to a system that plays by its own rules. Fast pacing and sharp dialogue keep the tone energetic, while the central performance blends toughness with emotional depth. The film avoids easy moral judgments, allowing audiences to decide for themselves what justice and wrongdoing mean, and remains notable for showing women as bold, resilient, and resourceful figures equal to any male screen hero. The Greeks Had a Word for Them, 1932, focuses on three single women living in New York City who use charm, intelligence, and teamwork to rise socially and enjoy the pleasures of urban life. While the story sparkles with humor and lively party scenes, it also emphasizes the importance of loyalty and friendship, showing how the women stand together through every mistake, scheme, and setback. The film stirred controversy not only because of its playful treatment of social climbing and wealthy romances, but because it openly celebrated female independence. The heroines take risks, make plans together, and accept the consequences without waiting for rescue, all delivered through fast dialogue and energetic storytelling. Its refusal to condemn their behavior was strikingly progressive, presenting a story in which ambition and solidarity are portrayed as strengths rather than flaws. International House, 1933, captures the reckless, anything-goes spirit of pre-code Hollywood by placing a chaotic collection of performers, comedians, and eccentric inventors inside a luxurious hotel in China for a weekend of non-stop confusion and spectacle. The thin plot revolves around the hunt for a groundbreaking invention called the radiocope, an early vision of television, but mainly serves as an excuse for comedy sketches, musical numbers, and outrageous gags. Scene-stealing comic performances, rapid-fire banter, and energetic musical acts turn the hotel into a playground of slapstick and surprise. The film's daring quality lies in its endless stream of suggestive jokes, irreverent humor, and casual disregard for polite social standards, while women on screen are portrayed as just as outspoken and clever as their male counterparts. Audiences at the time were thrilled by the mixture of comedy, music, and visual chaos, even as censors objected to its free-spirited tone. Today, International House remains a lively tribute to a brief period in Hollywood history when creative freedom ruled and laughter came before rules.